Welcome to the Digital Dreaming Off the Ground podcast. Today's episode will be a remembrance to the life and career of one Bill Russell. Bill Russell obviously was one of the greatest players in NBA history, pioneer of the sport, obviously, being one of the trailblazers back in his era. I believe it was the first ever black player to be drafted. No, he wasn't the first one. It was obviously Chuck Cooper. Chuck Cooper III, obviously connected on LinkedIn. So Chuck Cooper was the first ever black player drafted in the NBA, and I believe it was in 1950, around there. And then Bill Russell was drafted a few years later, around 1956. So first overall pick. Bill obviously went to Boston under Red Auerbach. I think he was the first black player to be drafted by the Celtics, maybe. And so essentially, Red was a trailblazer, for his time in terms of being a barrier breaker for race. Improving those relations between races, and obviously just being, kind of a transcendental kind of figure, for the sport. And obviously Bill, coming into the league, during a time where integration was just civil rights was still basically being fought for, Bill obviously was able to, really make his mark, in the NBA. Obviously, standing up for many social justice causes with Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, throughout the late 60s. And then, obviously being the first ever, if I'm not mistaken, first ever player coach, right, of the Boston Celtics in the 60s, and being able to, after Red departed, and helping the Boston Celtics actually win 2 to 3 championships, as a player coach. The only player in NBA history still with 11 championship rings, right? And I believe the first player to win 5 NBA MVP awards. His rivalry with Wilt Chamberlain was nothing short of legendary. The finals that they had, those battles were just tremendous. I was old enough to watch them, right? But I obviously can, rewatch the film, and anyone else can. You can kind of appreciate it, right? As a sports fan, Bill Russell's legendary defense was really what set the tone in those series and in the playoffs against Will. Not necessarily in the finals, but obviously they played in the conference championship finals, conference final series before the finals. And I absolutely think that Bill Russell was just a pioneer in his time. Everything he was able to establish, breaking the boundaries for players, of African American descent, being a kind of pioneer for civil rights, social justice, being a pioneer, obviously for other movements too, social justice movements. Ultimately, I think Bill Russell was one of those guys, who just really just didn't really didn't care about the media narrative. He really just wanted to play, and he really wanted to just ensure that quality was communicated and was achieved, as much as possible as could be, right? So ultimately, I think Bill Russell, for these reasons, was a legend, a hero. Obviously 11-1 in the finals is pretty remarkable to this day. It's crazy that we still don't have the argument of Bill Russell being the greatest player of all time, right? It's obviously LeBron, maybe that guy, Kareem, maybe Jordan. Ultimately, obviously, not maybe Jordan, right? Oh, it's always overwhelmingly Jordan, right? But obviously Bill was the greatest player of his era, the greatest player pre-Jordan, pre-Magic and Bird, obviously pre-LeBron, and pioneer for so many reasons. So obviously, he will be missed by many. And his legacy for the Boston Celtics, his legacy for the NBA. Obviously the NBA Finals MVP award is the Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP award for a reason. So I mean, there's not much more that needs to be said. So anyways, I hope you guys, felt inspired by Bill Russell. Obviously for me, I'm sure that many others can read up on his life and kind of hopefully gain some inspiration from all the civil rights movements and everything he took part in. But I just thought it was, he had such a great career. So ultimately, these are reasons why, I'm definitely gonna miss him. So rest in peace, Bill Russell. You'll be missed.